Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. It's Duncan and Arnell back for another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we interview founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And this is they're a very interesting, layered, deep, focused group of people, and we love talking to the founders. And I'm so excited about our guest today. But first, Arnell, what's up?
What's up? How everybody doing?
We all good. Before we get into it, Arnell, you want to bring us in with a sponsor message?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this latest episode of the Firebelly Social Show. We have a great show lined up for you today, talking with Llance, founder of purpose-driven beverage brand Millie Sipping Broth. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more.
Thanks, Arnell. And before I say hello to our guest, I want to say a little bit about him. Llance is the co-founder of the company Millie Sipping Broth, which he co-founded with his wife. It is the #1 best-selling vegetable broth on Amazon. And he and his wife, they've won international awards at the Fancy Food Show for their innovative creations. They've been written about all over the place at the Curious Magazine, Gourmet Retailer, Whole Foods Magazine. So we really have an amazing founder here today. Welcome, Llance. We're happy to have you.
Hi, welcome. How are you?
We're happy. We're happy that you're having a nice sunny day over there in Seattle. So I guess you don't get too many of those. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for letting me do this outside.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's start with this. You have such a great story. You know, it's not often that we get to try the product beforehand. We're trying to do that more often now. And I tried 3 of the products yesterday, and I was just blown away. So, you know, let's tell our audience, how did you get started with this whole thing?
Well, Millie Sipping Broth is kind of a new way to deliver something that we've been drinking for thousands of years. My wife is a teacher, and she wanted something in between classes that would help her kind of not snack as much, but wanted, you know, the feeling of a snack. So she used to bring a bouillon cube with her to school. And I said to her, let me make something healthier for you, because bouillon is just packed with, you know, all kinds of sodium and just really bad stuff. So I experimented at home, came up with this great recipe. And she said, put it in a tea bag so I can make it really quickly. And I made a bunch of extra ones for her. I took Lipton tea bags, took them apart, put all of the ingredients inside. I used a stapler with some string, and she took them to work. She left the extra ones in the break room for the teachers, and they all went crazy. And so we looked at each other and thought, oh boy, I think we have something here.
That's amazing. Arnell, isn't it so interesting that all our founders that we talk to are trying to solve a problem or a really interesting need that they have in their own life? And
Absolutely.
And Llance, what's the etymology or the origin behind the name?
So we, you know, the whole thing about the broth is that we realized, aside from the fact that it's savory, that it was very comforting, and we wanted to, you know, part of our company, when we create a product, we will always name it or give some sort of recognition to a person from our family who is no longer with us, but has influenced us in our lives. And so we decided to name this after my mother-in-law, so Lori's mom, Millie, who used to bring us together as a family around food. And, I just remember when I joined the family it was such a thing I looked forward to every other week, and for everyone to get together and talk and share their lives together. And so we just thought it was fitting for us to name it after Millie.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I was just telling Duncan that that reminds us of another founder we had on the show recently, Taylor Red, with Red Vodka.
Rose Red Vodka, yes. It's
Vodka.
Named after her grandmother, and her grandmother was the inspiration in her family. And now, did I read somewhere, Llance, that your mother-in-law is also known for her matzo ball soup?
Yeah, that's what it was. So the connection is there was a Jewish holiday where we were all sitting down, and Millie brought out her matzo ball soup, and my mother, who was also a very good cook, she tasted it and said, "Millie, I've got to have the recipe to this soup. This is amazing. I've never tasted anything so special." And she looked at my mom and said, I will give you the recipe at the end of the meal. So the meal went a couple of hours, and my mom said, "Where's that recipe?" And so Millie walked around the corner, and in her hand, she had a can of Swanson's chicken broth. And
wow.
we all laughed at that because we just thought, okay, broth, Millie's, food, comfort food. So that's, yeah.
I think that's lovely to hear the important role that family has played, in all of this. And but let's not recognize, or let's recognize the tremendous innovation here. Doing it in tea bags for your wife, first of all, that's innovation, that's disruption. But then taking that to the market, what's that been like? And how has it been? I know it didn't just happen, but how has it been received?
Well, so, this wasn't our first product. We started a business with the idea of creating things that were interesting and fun to us, number one. And number two were, innovations in the food market. And so the very first product that we created was a garlic product that we won Outstanding Product of the Year at Fancy Food. And so we thought we had hit the pinnacle, but we really didn't, because there were a lot of things we didn't understand about the food business. And one of them was that the cost of shipping is really a major impact to the scalability and the market acceptance of the product. So when we came up with this product, what we realized is that since we were taking the water out of broth and providing a different approach. So most broth that's in the market is made for cooking. And when we created this, we thought, well, we're going to make this for drinking. And so we combined, the tea bag aspect with a different occasion to use the broth, along with the reduced cost of shipping. And we thought that we hit a trifecta, because there was nothing at that time when we came out with it, there was no savory hot beverages in the market. And so that's, really what we were basing our foundation on. And when we went to the market, that's what we were known for.
And Llance, how is that market? I'm a browser when I go to different markets, and I shop all different levels of markets. I shop Aldi, I shop Target, I shop Fresh Time, I shop Whole Foods, I shop specialty stores, and I've never come across anything worthwhile like this in the savory dipping space. They usually crap powders with a bunch of stuff you can't pronounce.
Yeah. So, originally when you and I first started talking, you talked about the combination of this being like a savory tea or something like that. And, one of the issues we had was we were crunching a couple of different categories together. We were crunching a hot beverage category with a soup category. And early on, we really had problems with buyers understanding where to put it in the store. Two things happened that kind of were helpful for us. One of them was we had a phenomenal direct-to-consumer fan base. People were using it, and they still use it as to help them with intermittent fasting or to help them with their wellness journey, during the day, so they don't snack very much. They don't care where it fits in the grocery store. They just want to get it. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first thing that we had going for us, is we had a phenomenal following there. The second thing we had going for us was bone broth really took off. And they struggled with the same thing, because in the soup section, there were no specialty soups. And so they were really the first ones to carve out a specialty section in the soup aisle. And so that's where we've been able to fit. Now, our entry has been gradual for two reasons. The first one is that getting into the store, from a overall standpoint, is probably the easiest thing. Getting someone to come back and buy it 2, 3, and 4, and 5 times is the hardest part of that. So we've been very, very diligent in making sure that the markets we go into, that we have enough of a customer pull or demand that when we go into those markets, that the customers are going to go there and get it and be happy about it.
And so when you say that, you mean into a store in a certain market?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Into a store in a certain market.
What's that decision look like, Llance? Because obviously, if you've got direct to consumer business in a market, the margins are going to be better than being in a store, but the discoverability is better in a store. And how do you adjust for that?
Yeah, well, I wish I could tell you that I was a genius about that, but I'm not. I think the path has been very circuitous, and obviously COVID really made a huge impact in any kind of plans we had for doing it. Luckily, what we were able to do was to expand our connection, our direct connection with bigger partners. So 2 years ago, we struck up a relationship with Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers was very picky about the kinds of products that they allowed on their marketplace, direct to their 4.5 million members. We made it through the gauntlet and became the only soup broth that's on that marketplace. And so that I got to say, that was like a major shot in the arm for us, and it couldn't have come at a better time, because it first of all, we weren't reliant on what was going on in the grocery market because of COVID, and things were going crazy. Getting manufacturing was nuts, because everyone was trying to manufacture at the same time. The cost of everything was going up. So we had a little bit of a buffer in that opportunity that, put us right at the probably the best affinity group we could imagine. And it drove our Amazon sales so that we were now at the top of the broth. We watched all of our products go up, in the top 10, top 5, now number 1. And so it just happened like that. Like I said, it's not something that we planned.
I mean, it's such an interesting dilemma, I feel like, being in the food and beverage business, because it's important to be profitable, and yet it's so hard to be profitable and to also grow your brand. And so I think that you guys really look like you're playing the long game with the decisions you're making. When it comes to innovation, I mean, let me say, I said this before we started the recording today, but I tasted the products, and man, I'm not just saying it because you're on here. I mean, I was like, this is something I've been looking for, because first of all, I love soup. But there's a time for thick soup, and there's a time for like a thinner soup with like a smoother mouthfeel, right? I'm borrowing terms from the coffee or and tea world, but it has such a smooth mouthfeel. It's like drinking a Pinot Noir with no hangover, and it's GMO free. It's vegetarian. There's no meat. I mean, it's gluten free. I mean, it's just I can understand how you passed all those tests with Weight Watchers because it really is phenomenal. Even the bag is compostable. So if you're super
Cool.
reverse supply chain analysis oriented, you don't want anything to go into trash. What is it? What's your innovation? I guess it's a very long way to ask this question, but what's your innovation process look like?
Um, it's kind of crazy. So when Lori and I get an idea in our minds, we tend to move really, really quickly to create it for a couple of reasons. First off, we want to see how hard is it to make this? How hard is it to make something? What does it look like? What is the packaging, possibly going to be? And who benefits from it the most, right? What problem is it solving? Who benefits from it the most? And we don't really have any more process than that. And it seems like what we'll do is we'll take something, we'll create it, we put it on our counter, and we just leave it there. And if we don't think about it anymore, then it's not something that we're interested in. But if we keep going back to it and we keep tasting it and we keep looking at it and it occupies our mind, then it's got legs in our mind. And then we've been lucky enough again to develop a direct to consumer presence so that we can rapidly offer it to customers to see if they like it. And if they like it, then we've got something.
That's really great advice. Arnell, did I see your gears going round and round to ask a question there?
Yeah. First, I wanted to mention too that really reminds us just that direct to consumer relationship. We had another guy on here earlier, Ashad, with Amrika Health Foods. He does healthy snacks. But one of his things that he was talking about was the difference between distributing, the products via stores and having more control doing direct to consumer online, which it seems like you guys have a great hold of, with being the #1 broth brand on Amazon, which is really cool. Tell us a little. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I'm reading into your question, but the opportunity to have a relationship with the end user has never been better in the history of time ever. And I think what we are good at is establishing a connection with people. In every order that we send out, we have a little personal note. This is thank you very much for your order. It's signed. We get phone calls and emails almost on a daily basis from people who reach out to us to tell us how much they like the product, how they use it, or one of the things that really means a lot to us is that a lot of people will use the broth for loved ones who are going through cancer treatments because it's one of the only things that they can kind of tolerate and taste good to them. It means so much to us. And we don't really talk about that. But I can't imagine. I mean, I came from the tech business and I never got a phone call from anyone saying how much of an impact, our product, the product made on their daily life. And it just means so. I get goosebumps every time that happens.
That's so cool. It's so important to build a relationship with your customer that way. And I wanted to ask too, what are some ways that you see and you've learned that your customers are using your product? So you mentioned one example. What are some other unique or creative ways that you see people using your product?
Yeah. So, the number one thing that people do is in between meals snack. So the savoriness really gives the person a sense of I've eaten something without going after carbs or anything like that. So that's the number one thing. Afternoons, that critical 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock time, danger zone. Even in the evenings before you go to bed, that's also. The other thing that people use it for are, so let's say they're going into surgery or they need a clear liquid diet for some reason. This is great. Bariatric surgery or colonoscopies or things like that. The other thing that they're using it for is they're using it as an ingredient in cooking. So they'll rip the tea bags open and use it as a spice on their on our website. We have all kinds of recipes. I made a Thai green curry sauce with using the Thai lemongrass broth, this one right here, using this butter and coconut milk, and it made this killer sauce that you can put on anything. It's amazing.
The recipe extension is so cool, and you see that with other brands, but sometimes it feels a bit forced. It's like, okay, they're really pushing. It feels sort of transparent that they want you to use it in other things. You use it more. In yours, it feels, for lack of a better word, organic, where you're naturally. Cooking certain things, does take a lot. And if you're trying to cook something quickly, or if you're not sophisticated in the kitchen, it's just such a wonderful way to borrow your term, to foundationally use the product. It's really, really cool. What other things are you excited about right now?
Well, so now that the impact of COVID is kind of maybe past us for the most part. Our plans a few years ago were to expand into the food service market for cafes, caterers, restaurants, and then also into the break room market. Now, one of the earliest ideas that we had was, wow, this would be amazing in a break room for a company as an alternative to coffee or tea. And it would be even ultra amazing on a airline beverage cart for people who are stuck on a flight that are looking for, something new. And so that whole aspect is really exciting for us. We're focused. A lot of people were going to Expo West and some of the bigger trade shows that are aimed at stores. We've kind of zagged and gone to alternate markets that support our product and give companies another thing to sell. And so we are focused now on food service and vending and specialty coffee shows for the next 4 to 6 months.
That's
very cool.
I love it. I mean, gosh, I totally firsthand buy in not wanting any of the nonsense that they serve on a beverage cart in a plane. I mean, it's just like horrible coffee or like a drink with too much sugar in it or water. It's like, man, I don't always want water, so that's really cool. Well, that's super cool with the new markets. I mean, there's been a couple of things that you've said that have really stuck out to me. Creating a new category, looking at alternative markets, crunching categories together, the partnerships, and keeping the innovation agile and simple. It's just really lots of lessons there for people to learn about. And I love the fact that you started by wanting to make your wife's life better. It's such a.
It's interesting. I remember hearing there was a TED talk or something about try to please one person, and so everything that I do, I work for her. She's my boss. I am, everything that I do, I have to pass by her. But she is the number one taster. If it doesn't taste good to her, we have to go back and figure out why. There were definitely some missteps early on, and in our manufacturing, we were using the wrong partners who were like burning our ingredients, and every time we received a shipment, we were like, we wanted to cover our eyes to see what was going to happen next, but without her insistence on quality, we would not be at the level that we are now. But that she's the main motivation for pretty much everything.
That's super cool. The quality and Lori drives the quality. I love it. What a simple and elegant approach. Arnell was just reminding me about founder life. Like, what's founder life like for you guys? What do you do to stay happy and fresh?
Yeah. So we work together every day, and we live together every day. So it's not only founder life, but it's married founder life, which is, even more complicated. Yeah. So the good thing is that we're able to kind of split up our day. We spend, part of it working from home, and then the other part of it working out of our warehouse. We were very lucky because we outsource pretty much, almost every major component to other companies or other, third-party logistics companies. So we've been able to kind of reduce the amount of stress that we have. Early, it was really hard. I mean, there were very stressful days where we were bombarded with, going from 10 orders a day to 500 orders a day, for e-commerce. Everyone would think, oh, that's amazing. But you know what? When it happens every single day, you're pretty much, you get worn down. Anyway, so we've been able to kind of focus on the quality of our life. And then we try to only work 4 days a week. And we reserve Fridays for something to do either together that's non-work related or apart that's non-work related. And my vice is skiing. I love to ski. And we've had a phenomenal season, and it's probably not going to be done until May. So, and then I transition over to biking and hiking on Fridays.
Very cool. Where's your favorite place to go skiing?
Well, I'm fortunate to live about 45 minutes away from the closest ski area here in Seattle. Another one is about an hour and 20 minutes away. So those are my daily, or my easy ones. I just got back from Palisades in California, which was pretty amazing, and love Big Sky and Breckenridge in Colorado.
That's phenomenal. I wanted to ask, Arnell, I'm going to ask about where people can find the product, and you can think about your next question. Sippingbroth.com?
Yeah, sippingbroth.com. We got that domain really early because of the concept, and I'm so glad that we bought that.
And so for our listeners, buy the product on sippingbroth.com. The first time you go on there, as I did, you're going to get a 10% discount. Maybe Amazon will get it to you faster, but let's support our guests and give them that extra margin. And you're not going to be disappointed. I just guarantee it. Arnell, you got anything else there?
Yes. Tell us also what stores can people find it in, and then your social. Where can people find you on social?
Yeah. So our social is the @ Sipping Broths, plural, Sipping Broths on every platform. And as far as stores are concerned, we are in we're in about 1,000 stores now. We're hopefully by the midsummer we'll be in 5,000 stores. We'll be announcing the 4,000 stores probably at the end of June. But right now you can find us in Tops Foods, Grocery Outlet, Winco, and a lot of these stores, we're not in the all the top name stores, because we're again trying to go after pieces of the market that make sense. We were in Costco. We did a rotation through Costco last summer in Los Angeles. California is our biggest market. And so we basically are being very surgical in approaching the markets that can be supported. We just recently also entered the KeHE system. So we now have hundreds of independent stores that are finding our products and bringing it in, gourmet stores, organic markets, those natural food stores. Those are our best. We love those kinds of small, independent places because that's where they sell products, not where products are sold. And there's a big difference between those two concepts.
Yeah, that's truly insightful. But you know what Arnel was mentioning earlier about Arshad Bal from Amrita Foods. I was so inspired by what he said, which I'm hearing you say, is that it's not all about getting into the big stores. Because at the end of the day, you got to run a profitable business. And we've never had a better time to build our own audiences as brands. And so, less about ego and more about like running a sustainable business, which is so clear from everything you're doing. Thank you so much, Llance, for doing this with not just a podcast, but doing this business with your wife and making the world a better place. I know you get a lot of compliments, but please accept our sincere gratitude, for doing this and making the world a better place. I mean, I can't wait for Arnel to try it. She's real focused on healthy food. So thank you so much. And Arnel, you want to take us out with the sponsor message?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. By the way, I'm sorry that I was hoping you were going to give me a second, but thank you very much for your time and your interest. And Arnel, definitely want you to have a Millie's moment where you just take a break and treat yourself to some comfort food and a broth.
Love it, Millie moments. Awesome. Well, this episode is brought to you today by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more.
Thank you so much, Llance. I love the Millie's moments. I mean, I think we all need more moments, and what a wonderful homage to your mother-in-law. Thank you so much for doing the show, and everyone check it out. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Firebelly Social Show with Duncan and Arnel, where we talk to founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.